This video lecture is on storage lesion. So what are storage lesions? These are series of biochemical and biomechanical changes in red cells or platelets during ex vivo preservation that reduce their survival and function. So if you remember, the FDA acceptable percentage for a successful transfusion would be only about 75% of transfused cells survive post transfusion, meaning it cannot guarantee 100%. The 25% is owed to the storage lesions that will be occurring in the stored blood component, specifically for your red cells and platelets. So the storage lesions are involved or associated in stored red cells and platelets. So what are the metabolic effects? The storage of red cells at 4 plus minus 2 degrees centigrade that helps maintain red cell functionality and viability by reducing the red cell metabolic rate. We cannot store it beyond that or below that, as this will destroy the RBC due to the effect in the metabolic rate. Although we can store them, but there are special precautions that need to be considered first prior to its storage at colder temperatures. For each 1 degree drop in storage temperature, approximately a 10% decrease in red cell metabolic rate. At 4 degrees centigrade, the metabolic rate is 10 times lower than at what's 25 degrees centigrade. Metabolic activity does not completely cease when red cells are stored at cold temperature. So glucose or dextrose are added to storage mediums to allow red cells to continue glycolysis in vitro. So these glucose or dextrose are incorporated in the anticoagulant preservative solutions since your RBC continue its anaerobic glycolysis in vitro storage. So what are the RBC storage lesions? The percentage viability of the cell decreases. As I've said a while ago, FDA only uh, considered a successful transfusion when there would be survival of 75% post-transfusion transfused cells. The 25% is owed to the RBC storage lesion. So therefore, we expect that during storage, 25% of your cells will be destroyed. Reasons for the destruction would be for the following. The glucose that is already incorporated in your anticoagulant preservative solution are decreased over time during their storage since glucose continue its anaerobic glycolysis in vitro. Now, ATP would also be increased over time since ATP are produced from glucose as their main source. Now, since the glucose is decreasing, that would have an effect for ATP production to also be decreased. Lactic acid is increased, as we all know that the anaerobic glycolytic pathway will yield ATP plus lactic acid. If this anaerobic glycolysis continues in vitro, then there would be accumulation of lactic acid. So that causes its increase. The pH would decrease if there would be a lot of hydrogen ions as product from the lactic acid formation, then that would mean there would be a decrease in the pH. Decreased pH would mean acidic. The 2,3-DPG would also be decreased since there's no continuing Lou-Behring Rappaport shunt taking place in stored blood. The plasma potassium is increased. This is the product of the lysis of your red blood cells. Since potassium are found inside the cells, so they are intracellular ions. So when the RBC undergo lysis, it releases the potassium. So that would mean there would be an increase of plasma potassium in the blood bag or stored blood. The plasma hemoglobin also increases as product of the lysis, releasing the hemoglobin within the RBC. The oxygen dissociation curve will now be shifted to the left. If there would be a decrease in 2,3-DPG, that means a shift to the left. Platelets. How about for platelets? Platelets are cellular fragments derived from the cytoplasm of megakaryocytes. That's why platelets do not have same size and shape. They have irregular size and shape as they are the product of fragmentation of a giant cell megakaryocytes when it passes through the vessel for their released into the circulation. They do not contain a nucleus. They have mitochondria and various cytoplasmic granules. Do not possess either a Golgi body or rough endoplasmic reticulum. Platelets are released and circulate approximately 9 to 12 days as small dish-shaped cells. The biochemical changes occurring in a platelet are the following. In the resting state, 15% of ATP is coming from by glycolysis, the anaerobic, 85% by TCA cycle, that's the aerobic glycolytic pathway, or the Krebs cycle with oxygen consumption. In the activated state, 50% of ATP by glycolysis that would be increased lactate production, meaning to say, if the platelets are activated, such as when they undergo aggregation, the platelet would resort to using the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. That is just 15% in the resting state. But when it is activated, there will be an additional 35%, making it 50%. Half of the ATP requirement for the platelets will now be coming from the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. So, since it is anaerobic, as I've said a while ago, the end products produced now will be ATP and the lactic acid. So, if the platelets would resort to doing this, then expected there would be an increased lactate production or lactic acid production. A decrease in oxygen in the plastic platelet container would increase the rate of glycolysis to compensate for the decrease in the ATP regeneration from the oxidative TCA metabolism, meaning that the TCA cycle or the citric acid cycle is so dependent on the oxygen present in the blood bag or container for the platelet. So if this would be depleted, then therefore the platelets would resort to the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. This increased glucose consumption and causes an increase in lactic acid would mean an increase in or a decrease in the pH since there would be increased hydrogen ions accumulated as coming from the product of lactic acid formation. So this results in fall in pH that is less than 6.4 after 5 to 7 days of storage at 22 degrees centigrade. Now, lactic acid is buffered by bicarbonate. When the bicarbonate buffers are depleted during the PC storage, then therefore the pH rapidly decreases down below pH 6.2. Now, based on the AABB standards, the platelet should be stored at pH 6.2 or more if we want to maintain its viability, its disc concave disc shape. Otherwise, if it is below 6.2, there would be an irreversible effect to the shape of the of the platelets, and the platelets now become non-functional. So there is no problem if the platelets would resort to the anaerobic pathway since there would be bicarbonate to buffer it. However, the bicarbonate that is present in the preservative solution is also limited. So that's the reason why there would be lifespan for platelet storage, just like 5 days, because beyond 5 days, it is expected that the bicarbonate now are depleting, and that would yield a non-functional platelet since the platelets now are affected by the lowering of the pH of the stored platelet. The activation of your platelets, no, the factors affecting it would be one, foreign surfaces, meaning referring to the plastic bag. The low pH is a product of metabolic alteration. When there is activation, the platelets now would resort to using 50% of its ATP generation from the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. Shear stress during component separation. Upon activation, the platelets lose their discoid morphology and become more spherical with multiple pseudopods. Conformational changes in glycoprotein 2B and 3A complex exposes binding sites for adhesive proteins, the fibrinogen, and your V von Willebrand factor or VWF, resulting in platelet aggregate. So this is actually what is happening when the platelets now are activated. They will aggregate, meaning they will attach to each other and then releases the aggregating factors, which will glue them together, and that will now render your platelets non-functional. And when will this happen? One, if the pH decreases in the stored platelet. And what are the factors causing decrease in pH? Would be a decrease in the oxygen supply within the container, would mean that your platelets would resort to the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. Second would be if there would be less sabi natin, oxygen doon. So that causes a decrease in the pH due to the continued production of lactic acid from the anaerobic glycolytic pathway. So that is why current dates they making use a second generation plastics which has a higher oxygen content, the polyolefins, in order to support the TCA TCA cycle of your platelets. At the same time, the platelets should be stored with continuous agitation, as continuous agitation prevents its aggregation. And aggregation is an indication that platelets are activated. So how to extend the storage duration? The addition of adsol for your red blood cell, which contains saline, adenine, glucose, and mannitol. Saline is an isotonic solution, so it preserves the viability of the red cell by providing osmotic pressure, which is a equal osmotic pressure so that cells will not shrink nor swell. The adenine is a substrate for ATP production, and then glucose and mannitol are the source of ATP production. So you have actually three sources for the energy production. And that is the reason why your red cells with adsol will increase its lifespan up to 42 days. If you're using simply just ACD, CPD, and CP2D, it will only be 21 days. If we make use of CPDA1, that makes it 35 days. There's a new one, the CPDA2, which can increase further the lifespan of your RBC to 42 days. So this is the adsol, the additive solution for your red blood cells. But for platelets, we have platelet additive solution. It contains ECPMNP, okay, for platelets. You have adenine, citrate, and then phosphate, and then magnesium and your potassium. Okay, the adenine as a substrate for ATP production, the citric acid there, adenine and acetate as well, acetate. Okay, that will enhance citric acid cycle, the acetate. The citric acid here will prevent the glucose from caramelization. This is needed during the platelet component separation, wherein the platelet pooled, yung paghahalo-haluin, yung around 4 to 6 platelets, no, from whole blood na sineparate, paghahalo-haluin yon, we call it pooled platelets. They usually undergo autoclaving within the separator machine. And we know that autoclaving is involving high temperature under steam. So if a glucose, which is present in the preservative solution for your adsol, additive solution for platelets, will be exposed to extreme heat with steam that causes its caramelization. So the citric acid there will prevent the RBC or the platelets rather from caramelization. The phosphate will act as a buffer to maintain the pH 6.2. The magnesium and potassium, the magnesium and potassium will serve as the prevent aggregation of your platelets. So with this, there will be just additional 2 days for your platelets from the standard lifespan of 5 days. It can extend up to 2 days. Okay, rejuvenation. Red cells at the end of storage time, what happens? There would be low pH, low ATP, and low 2,3-DPG that really cause its destruction. Okay, so rejuvenation is a metabolic recharging of red cells at the end of their storage period that is to restore particularly your 2,3-DPG. Now, we can only rejuvenate PAC-RBC 3 days within 3 days of outdate, within 3 days lang. Let's say, for example, today is Saturday, it has expired. You can rejuvenate it today, tomorrow, or until Monday only. We can rejuvenate that within 3 days from outdate. Ito. Okay? So, by incubation in a high pH solution of phosphate, inosine, pyruvate, and adenine, PIPA, this is the main component of your rejuvenating solution. We rejuvenate it for 2 hours, incubate it for 2 hours at 37 degrees centigrade. And that increases red cell ATP and 2,3-DPG concentrations and increases their in vivo recovery. So rejuvenating is actually restoring the ATP and the 2,3-DPG in the RBC. Now, after rejuvenation, you may store it back kung galing freezing temperature yung ating RBC. You may freeze it back and that's good for another 10 years. Okay? Restored normal distribution of phospholipids prevents red cells from participating in plasma coagulation reactions. Rejuvenation does not reverse the oxidative damage to cell membrane. So ito yung emphasis. Yung rejuvenating natin, we rejuvenate to preserve what has been remained. Pero yung already damaged cells can no longer be rejuvenated. Yun ang emphasis doon. Kung ano lang yung natitira na hindi pa sira, yun lang yung maipreserve na inyong Rejuvisol. Those RBCs that are product already of destruction dahil sa storage lesion, hindi na yun maibabalik. So, if this would be infused after rejuvenation, dapat hugasan muna, undergo washing, because we need to remove the rejuvenating solution. Kung ito na may i-freeze, then you need to add cryoprotective agent, no, to cushion the red cells before placing it to freezer at negative 65 or colder for longer storage. Okay. So example would be Rejuvisol, would be the Cytosol Labs. Okay, frozen storage of red cells and platelets. Freezing significantly reduces the metabolic rate. Cryopreservative agents help to reduce intracellular dehydration and mechanical damage due to water crystal forming during freezing, no? So we need to add a cryoprotective agent in order to cushion the cellular component, because when we freeze it na walang cryoprotective agent, then the cellular component undergo crystallization, magiging ice. So we can do freezing actually for platelets and RBC. Sa platelets, we make use of the DMSO, the dimethyl sulfoxide. That would be your cryoprotective agent for platelets, and it's stored at negative 80 degrees centigrade and shelf life up to 2 years. While for red cells, make use of the glycerol. Ang pinaka-common or recommended is the high glycerol concentration, that's 40% rather of glycerol, and then store dito up to 10 years at negative 80. 65 yung other books or colder kasi nakalagay. So with glycerol, these are the cryoprotective agents. So that would be all for our storage lesion lecture.